So now you're getting ready to sing your song. And I just want to go over a couple quick vocal techniques that you can use as tools to help you get across exactly what you want to say in your vocal performance and in the song. So the first step to doing that is to get really clear on what the lyrics are. I like to do this with the engineer in the room so that he can coach me through the recording process and remind me where I'm coming from and what the intention of the words are. So the way I do this is, first thing I like to do is to read through the lyrics as if I'm saying them to someone and what the emotions are behind the words. How was I feeling when I wrote the song? Was I angry? Was I inspired? Was I in love? Who was I thinking about? What was the moment that triggered that song to be created? So once you get clear on all the different emotions that are there for you in the lyrics, being able to act those out and perform those so that your audience and your listeners really get that emotion. That's what's going to make that connection. So doing that with the engineer is a great way to get vulnerable. They're going to be hearing you, hearing the mistakes, hearing everything that you do. So that's a great way to increase the relationship productivity in the room. And it's really good energy to sort of get together on what the song is about. In the example of Steaming Hearts, which you'll hear a little bit later, the beginning part was just lyrics, just a poem I was writing when I was really angry. And it turned into a melody in my head. I didn't even have a chorus. I didn't have a whole big idea. I just was writing words. And when I went to record the final song months after it finally got written, I remembered those initial chicken scratch writing, I'm so angry emotions, and was able to get that kind of performance out. So that's the first thing. Really get clear on what the lyrics are to you and what you want them to say. The second thing is to figure out what kind of vocal techniques you're going to use. You have varying degrees of strength as a vocalist. A lot of singers know about this, but I'll just quickly go over. You have your chest voice, which is a really comfortable place to sing. It's what we call belting. You're using all of the power that you have to get the loudest sound possible. When you go higher in range, singing notes that are higher, you reach a break, and that's sometimes where people tend to crack if they don't have enough air pushing behind the notes. And then after that, you have your head voice. And for guys, this is where falsetto happens. And the head voice takes a lot more air to get out a powerful sound. It's possible for people to belt in their head voice range, but it's usually a place where you're going to be doing vocal flourishes or embellishments. It's also a place where you can get really vulnerable because it is a softer, a little bit weaker place in the vocal range. So for me, my head voice is, it sounds like this. And my chest voice, it sounds like this. And it's, a little more brash. So you'll hear both of those in the examples that we deal with later. But it's good to know which technique you want to use, where the range of the song is that you wrote or your co-writer wrote, so that you are aware of how you're going to sing that when you get to the microphone and you can prepare and breathe the right way. If you're very lucky, like I am, I get to work with an engineer who's great working with singers and knows how to coach through breathing so that you can really focus on the performance. So if you're lucky enough to work with someone like that, take advantage of it. So the next thing after thinking about which vocal range and style you're going to be singing in is to get in front of the microphone and get really comfortable. Right now, you just need to know that the microphone is your friend and don't be shy in front of the microphone. I usually use a pop screen. The pop screen prevents loud sounds from getting through the microphone. And that's more of an engineering conversation, so I'll leave that to Enrico.
The pop screen is not always necessary, but it's almost always necessary. It saves your microphone from, spitting and all that. Your microphone will have a longer life. And a lot of words like P's and B's, the singer blows wind out of their mouths. And that wind moves the capsule of the microphone at a very slow frequency, and that actually turns into a low frequency recording, a rumble, a pop. That's why it's called pop filter. So pop filters with quality are not supposed to take away high frequencies and detail out of the vocal sound, but they do filter that wind, especially when the singer is singing close to the mic. If you're recording like 3, 4, 5, 10 singers with one mic far away, you will never get that. That, pop filters are used for closed miking situations.
Right now, just know you have the pop screen and then you have the microphone. And the microphone is your friend. It's going to take exactly what you want to say and send it to all the listeners eventually. So when you're using a pop screen, give it a little bit of room between the microphone and the pop screen, and then another inch or two, depending on how quiet you're going to be singing. You don't really have to worry about the loudness if you go from quiet to loud. That's something the engineer is going to be worrying about with compression settings and the gear that he or she is using. So just get really close. They'll tell you what to do. Just trust them. They know what they're doing. As you get really close to the microphone, don't be intimidated by all this stuff in your face. Sometimes that can get in the way of the vulnerability, of the intimacy that you're trying to create with your vocal. So just make sure you just get right there and just know that this is how it's supposed to be and you're doing everything right. When you are doing group sings, which sometimes happens for background vocals, if you're creating background vocals and you want a lot of people to sing them at once, like a group, big chorus, even if it's more than 2 people or just 3 or 4 people, I often don't use the pop screen. A lot of times you'll have people standing around the microphone and you won't need to be worrying about the pops that happen when you're really up close to your face. But that's the only time I really don't use a pop screen is if I'm doing snaps or anything else where I'm not being really close. But all lead vocals, I usually use the pop screen. So after you get set up with your microphone and your pop screen, it's all about you being comfortable. Are you warmed up? Are you hydrated? Are the lights, is everything around you as comfortable as can be and in line with the energy of the song? If you're doing a really happy, upbeat song, you may not want the candles and the dark lights. You may want that bright light energy because that's what you're trying to portray. So as long as you're comfortable and you're prepared and you know what you want to say and how you want to say it, you're going to be fine. So when you're doing your lead vocal, you want to be straight on, not like background vocals. Sometimes background vocals, because you're creating this big airy sound, you're going to turn slightly from the microphone center so that you can get a little bit more of the air without worrying about distorting the microphone. But we'll get into that later. Enrico will explain that. So making the microphone and the pop screen your friend, you're going to get that really intimate connection with the microphone and therefore your listeners. And it's going to help you tell your story better the more comfortable you are in front of the microphone. Sometimes when I'm singing about someone or about a specific moment, I even get right up in there and pretend that someone's about to kiss me, and that being the microphone. And it's kind of a special experience that you can create in this setting right here that you got. So just don't be afraid of it.
When you record a singer, setting up is amazingly important. Cheryl was very clear about how the mood and the vibe is important when the singer's looking at the microphone and being friends with the microphone or having a relationship with the microphone. You don't want to. The engineer does not want to destroy that vibe, because that really gets captured. Make sure you understand recording an artist is like taking a picture of somebody. When you take a picture of somebody and you just say something weird, the whole semblant and the whole vibe of that, the whole way that that image talks to you may not be exciting or hot or sad or aggressive or whatever vibe you are going for. So whatever vibe you're going for, don't let the technology, the headphones, the microphone, the computer get in your way of destroying that moment and that the vibe that especially that singer needs to be living and experiencing. Listening, cans, headphones. Never ever give headphones to the singer before you listen to them. The voice, the levels must be nice. She must feel good in the room with the lighting, with the candles, with all that. But what she's hearing, or if it's a he, if the singer is a he, they must love what they're hearing. They must love their vocal sound in the headphones, and the way the vocal sound sits in the music. So it's a matter of vocal level, track level, and overall headphones volume. So working together with the singer, with that vibe and getting that sound translated, that vibe translated through the sound into the recording is what you want to do.
Vocal Recording, a complete production guide. Chapter 1, Vocal Techniques in the Studio, Summary and Assignment. Every chapter is going to have one of these summaries, and we're just going to go over what we covered. So first in this chapter, we got clear on the lyrics, what the song is about, what the intention is for the mood of the verses, the choruses, what exactly are you saying. Then we talked about choosing a vocal style to use, including head voice, chest voice, the difference between the two and when to use each one of them. Then we got comfortable in front of the mic and the pop screen, learned a little bit about the pop screen, and learned that they are our friends and not to be afraid of them. Next, we got into the mood of the song, and you can really create that with lighting, candles, getting to know your engineer, talking together about the song. And then we set up the vocals from the engineer's point of view. What do you need to be responsible as an engineer versus a singer in the session? And that really is all about making sure the singer is comfortable. Lastly, check the headphone mix. This is very important. Your assignment for this chapter is to first choose a song, whether it's something you've written, produced, whatever you want, and then follow the steps laid out in this summary, and basically get ready to start recording. So move on to chapter 2 when you're comfortable with the song, the session is set up, and the headphone mix is all set. See you in the next chapter.